It's Valentine's Day, so I have a heart on my face, and today we're going to talk about one of the best love stories that's ever been shown on television. That's right, today we're going to talk about how Hannibal should have ended. Now, you may have seen my video that I did quite a long time ago now, actually, titled How Merlin Should Have Ended. And let's just say, the number of requests I've had for a follow-up for either Sherlock or Hannibal has been a few. I would like to do the Sherlock one. I'm going to do the Sherlock one, but the Sherlock one would require potentially a week of intensive structuring and drinking lots and lots of alcohol just to deal with the pain. So whilst I'm in the last stretches of my year 3 degree, I'm going to say that dedicating a week of my time is going to have to come after all of my deadlines. But for now, today, we're going to talk about how Hannibal should have ended. This only took me 5 hours to make, and it is a 3,000 word document, and yes, it was incredibly painful. No, it's not perfect. It's not perfect, guys. But it's just about good enough that I'm happy to talk to you about it. There are bits that are not going to be as structured. There are bits that I'm not going to try and give you line for line dialogue because I'm tired. You can make up your own. This is the joy. I hand the reins onto you when it comes to writing this properly. So when I say how Hannibal should have ended, this is going to be a little bit different to the how Merlin should have ended, because I'm not going to change anything about the 3 seasons, okay? The 3 seasons that we have are perfect. Love it. It's great. I liked the way it ended, but I don't like the ending currently because that is the ending. And I want more, Brian Fuller. God damn it. So yes, this is basically my outline for season 4. Let's just go for it. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to start talking about one of the main themes that I want to address this season, or one of the main narrative tensions, and that is this idea of balance of power between Hannibal and Will. Basically, in my head at least, the relationship that Hannibal and Will have had, all of the pain and the turmoil and the struggles are caused by, amongst other things, but mostly are caused by this imbalance of power, with one of them always trying to outdo the other one or getting power over the other one, which of course is what makes it fun, because you're like, oh, who's going to win in this interaction? Is it going to be Will? Is it going to be Hannibal? But what I also think is interesting, and what I think is going to be interesting with this season that I've outlined, is that one of the main themes is about them trying to be balanced in their power with each other. At the end of the 3rd season, Will takes the both of them and he throws them over the cliff. Hannibal lets Will throw him off this cliff and essentially destroy everything that he's meticulously created over the years. And he just allows Will to do it. He doesn't try and stop him, he just lets him do it. And to me, that shows that Hannibal has given power to Will because he's let him make that decision and make that choice for him and basically make him start completely again. And Will has given power to Hannibal because by throwing them over the cliff, Will has basically said to Hannibal, yep, you're right, everything that you've been saying is right, it is beautiful, we are meant to be together, this is where I'm meant to be. Both of them have kind of given each other power, which is why I think they start the beginning of the 4th season, in my head, at a very even playing field. This balance of power and the tension to keep this balance of power, I think, is going to be the main emotional driving force for most of the season, and definitely for the first few episodes. Now, you may have heard Brian Fuller talk about if he had done a full season, or if he is going to do a full season, he's going to set it in Cuba because that's where they run away to. I really like this idea. So for the moment, I want the season to start, them drowning in the sea, them washing on shore, trekking through the wilderness, finding a boat, sailing to Cuba. And of course, Hannibal's got loads of assets in like every single country, so he's like minted everywhere, so he can just like be like, oh, Will, hi, I'm your sugar daddy. You want to get this giant house that I've bought? And Will's like, okay. They can have like a 5-minute holiday, you know? They can just have a good 5 minutes where like both of them lay out in the sun and get a tan. That would be great. And the tension is that they're both kind of even at the moment, but Hannibal, of course, wants Will to go full dark side Darth Vader lover with him. Padme. He is Padme in this situation. Oh wait, does that make him Count Dooku though? Shh. Okay, I'm getting lost in this metaphor. Anyway, Hannibal wants Will to go dark side. Will has kind of accepted that he wants to go dark side, and Hannibal is very, very happy to give Will this time. He's just kind of letting him do his thing, just kind of sitting there smugly because Hannibal knows that Will will come round, and Hannibal knows that with Will coming round, it's basically Will again just being like, wow, Hannibal, you were so right this entire time. And Hannibal just loves it. He's just waiting. It's like, you know when you wait for someone to say I'm sorry? Or like you wait for someone to say that they're wrong? Like you're not gonna say it, you're just gonna let them say it. You're just gonna let them figure it out. That's what Hannibal's gonna be doing in this moment. Like he's happy to wait because the longer he waits, the sweeter it will become. And so there's gonna be scenes with like Will and Hannibal talking, and maybe they're talking about murder because that's how these two fuckers foreplay, you know? And Will, who's used to Hannibal kind of taking charge with everything, is gonna be like obviously flirting like they do, but trying to get Hannibal to make the first move because he obviously knows what Bedelia has said about Hannibal being in love with him. And Hannibal's just sitting in the corner in his head going, you're gonna make the first move. Which just leads Will to be incredibly frustrated and just at random scenes just standing up going, okay, and getting out the room because he just can't get Hannibal to do the thing that he wants him to do. He's like, God damn it, I've spent my entire time knowing Hannibal, trying to get him to stop doing things, and now the one thing that I want him to do, he's actually not going to do it. I love a good bit of tension. And they're gonna have, of course, scenes where they're talking about murder and like Will's talking in deep metaphorical terms about how like, yeah, he's happy to kill someone, but like he wants to kill someone who he thinks deserves it. You know, like I said, dark Will, but add in a flavour of moral conscience. I think it would be interesting to throw in some other scenes of them having to like navigate sharing the same space together, living with each other. Maybe there's some other things and some issues with them finding a place. I don't know, all that domestic goodness. Whilst all this is happening, the FBI. Things aren't going great at the FBI. They've just accidentally let out a mass murderer, and then they found said mass murderer murdered on the ground. Maybe or maybe not with giant wings of blood next to him, who fucking knows? And Hannibal and Will, who have both obviously worked together to complete this murder, apparently have now jumped off a cliff and died. So most of the Bureau think that Hannibal and Will is dead. And they do what they should have done like 2 seasons ago and fire Jack Crawford because they're like, you, my dude, you've made way too many mistakes, which he has. So Jack fucks off. Okay, and this is where I've tried to make a vague sense of plot because I would really, really like Clarice Starling to finally be in Hannibal. And I want her to be played by young Jamie Clayton. So yeah, I'm trying to take the plot of Silence of the Lambs and I'm trying to put it in this. Clarice Starling. She is a first-year trainee at the FBI, hence why she's never really got taught by Will. So she kind of knows about these things, but she's kind of separated from it, hence why she's never been in the storyline before now. She wants to find Buffalo Bill. So I've changed it slightly so that she has a personal connection with Buffalo Bill. This is the 2 options that you have, okay? One, that her parents were killed by Buffalo Bill, and then maybe like that's why she's like fascinated with murderers. Or number 2, the girl who gets kidnapped, who's the senator's daughter in the original film, is her girlfriend. I mean, I don't know which one I prefer in this storyline, but you know, regardless, she wants to find Buffalo Bill. And the way that I've kind of figured this out with her getting tips from Hannibal, with Hannibal on the run with Will, is that basically this idea of like, when Hannibal was locked up and was tried for murder, I mean, spoilers I guess, all of his belongings and everything, I know he burned a load of his files, but he still has a lot of his files left. All of his belongings were kind of put into evidence, and it's kind of come to light that in some of the research and some of the like, writings that he did, that he knew who Buffalo Bill was, or like he wrote some stuff down about Buffalo Bill. Never had a name, but was kind of writing about him. So Clarice knows that in these files from Hannibal Lecter, it's got some information about Buffalo Bill in. And so the first kind of beginning bits of Clarice's storyline are basically going to be very similar to that of Silence of the Lambs, where she's going to go to the garage, she's going to find the head in the garage, she's going to go back, she's going to get different pieces of information from Hannibal. And yeah, so we're going to have these like sort of parallel storylines that are like following each other. Okay, so whilst this is happening, we're going to cut back to Cuba. This is the first sort of major moment of the storyline. Maybe this is like the 2nd episode. Because this is Hannibal, serial killers are fucking everywhere, and there's a serial killer on the loose in Cuba. Surprise, surprise. Now this is a serial killer that's got to be bad enough that Hannibal and Will, people who openly and often kill and eat people find despicable enough. And I don't really want to go into details about what this killer does. Whatever it is, it has to be despicable enough that Will's like, that guy, I want to kill that guy. There you go, Hannibal. That's the guy that I'm happy to openly and willingly kill with you first with. Oh, look at that. It's sweet. It's a bonding moment. This is a moment where Hannibal's like, oh, fucking finally, I've had my roll mat of knives here ready this entire time, let's go. So Will, for the first time that season, does his vroom vroom moment, which they got rid of in like series 2 and 3, and they shouldn't have done, because I like the vroom vroom. Anyway, he figures out who the killer is, they go off to hunt their first killer. Ooh, dramatic tension. Now, the way that I want this to be filmed, and the way that I want this to be done, is like, it's Hannibal and Will working together openly for the first time with purpose, walking through these empty Cuban streets, hunting this guy. And I want it to be like, you know how in the final scene where they both kill the red dragon, and you could see them like working in sync and like moving in sync? I want it to be like that, and I want them both to kind of notice that they're weirdly in sync, and they're like, oh, like actually this is actually good, like we're actually, I mean I knew we would work well together, but we work really well together, oh fuck. They find the guy, they go in to kill him, and everything's just working. They're terrifying together. They kill this guy, Hannibal's like, great, sick, cool, let's make a tableau. Will freaks out. He's like, oh my god. Will runs, basically. He runs off, and Hannibal kind of's like, oh shit, can't do anything now. Gets a bit of meat from the body, say that for later. Runs after him. Hannibal finds Will back at their flat, and Will's kind of like pacing around the kitchen. Hannibal, who's basically high because he's so euphoric at what's happened, this is kind of the moment where he isn't quite on his toes, he usually is, pushes Will a little bit too hard, because Hannibal's there going, look how perfect that was, it was amazing, you're beautiful, you're like the most perfect killer I've ever seen. Will's like, shut up. Hannibal just continues, he's like, no, but can't you see, like, this is all I've ever wanted, this is perfect, like, you're the perfect killing machine. Again, Will's like, shut up. Maybe Will has like a knife in his hand or something like that. And they kind of tussle for a moment, and it basically gets to a point where Will has Hannibal against the wall with his knife to his throat, because that's something that they do in this show. And Hannibal's like, what are you gonna do? Kill me? Because he knows, and Will knows, that that is definitely not gonna happen. And it's in that final moment where Hannibal asks that Will kind of realises, oh god, I'm really not, am I? And I want Will to take the knife, I want him to raise the knife, Hannibal to just be looking at him, dead, straight in the eyes, calm as anything, Will to kind of let out a shout and plunge it, and we think it's going to plunge straight into Hannibal, but it doesn't. It plunges straight into the wood next to Hannibal's head on the wall. The blade kind of quivers for a moment, and they're both looking at each other's eyes. You know what happens next, bitch. Okay, so I'm going to make something perfectly clear. I want them to have sex now, but I don't want this to be gentle lovemaking. No, no, no. I want it to get to a point where it's so rough and confusing that as an audience member, you can't really tell whether they're trying to literally devour one another or they're having sex with one another. They just keep moving. What are they doing? Are they biting each other? Are they kind of tearing at each other's clothes? They're moving in sync, and I want it to be filmed in such a way where you see certain parts of their bodies, but it becomes a sort of blur of whose body belongs to who. It's this moment where they're kind of like at odds with each other, but they're also still, whether they like it or not, working in sync with each other. I want it to be like, are they wrestling? But instead of throwing punches, they're throwing really violent love bites. And it's like I said in the Hanagram video, like, they both want to consume each other in different ways a lot of the time, but they still both want that kind of to consume one another, and I want this scene to be like that. They're wrestling and they're fighting and they're biting, and it gets to a point, because symbolism, am I right, where on the big marble island in the middle of the table, Will basically gets Hannibal onto the island and he's on top of him, and bites and fucks the fuck out of him because he's consuming Hannibal on a kitchen table, which is what Hannibal usually does to other people. Oh my god, are you an English student or what? Cut to the next day. Will wakes up and he's in Hannibal's bed. Hannibal's still asleep. Will is freaking out just a tiny bit. Because why freak out about being a mass murderer when you could just freak out about having a little bit of a gay crisis instead? Relatable content, am I right, guys? He slips out onto the balcony. He has a moment where he just stares into the sunrise. Kind of Star Wars style. Again, Star Wars! What's with the Star Wars reference? He stares into the sunrise. Hannibal kind of joins him. He realises maybe he wakes up, maybe he realises he's disturbed in his sleep, whatever. And I want them to kind of have, for the first time, a little bit of that conversation, and for Will to be like, you've slept with men before. Hannibal was like, yes. Way pansexual, bro. When someone intrigues me, it's not their gender that intrigues me, it's the person. So deep and meaningful and very pansexual like that. I want Will to be a bit like, okay, so Bedelia said that you loved me. Is that true? And for Hannibal just to be like, Bedelia, it's very astute. And Will to be like, okay. And because Will has been schooled in the school of midlife bisexual crises, joined by John Watson, I want him to just be like, okay, that's cool. Kind of walk back into the house, not really say anything else. It's alright, he needs a bit of time. Bless him. You know, it's hard when you realise you're a murderer and also a little bit bisexual on the same day. We cut back to the bureau. I want Clarice Starling to get to a point where, like she did in the film where she needed to talk to Hannibal that last time when he was in that big fancy cage thing, she's like, no, I need to talk to Hannibal because I have figured out as much as I can figure out, but I need to talk to him. Like, I need to ask him these questions. I need to understand because he obviously knows who he is. I need to ask him who this guy is. But she's like, I don't know how I'm going to do that because Hannibal's dead. And someone, maybe Ardelia, maybe she's like, well, Jack Crawford doesn't think that he's dead. And Clarice to be like, who? Jack Crawford, you know, the old FBI guy who used to run the bureau. She'd be like, oh, so hypothetically, if I were to find this guy, where would I be finding him? So she goes to find Jack Crawford, and she finds Jack Crawford in his hidey hole of secret special operations, along with like most of the other people who have been in the previous seasons who have been affected by Hannibal. And he's made the super secret "We Still Think Hannibal's Alive" group. He's basically Anderson. Oh, and the two people who aren't going to be there is Margot and Alana, because they're going to come off in a minute, do not worry. Clarice is going to find Jack, and she's going to be like, hey Jack, so where can I find Hannibal? Do you know where he might be? Jack is like, oh, well, hi Clarice, lovely to meet you. Funny you say that actually, because we've been searching all of the news reports basically everywhere, and we found this one guy who got his, like, spleen cut out in Cuba, which kind of fits Hannibal's MO, but we can't go because Hannibal would spot us a mile away because they both recognise us. But you may be able to go and find Hannibal because Hannibal doesn't know who you are. And so Clarice heads her way to Cuba. Back to Will and Hannibal now. So for the next few episodes, again, and I'm sure there's other things that are going to be happening in the plot, haven't figured that out, you are welcome to do so. Over the next few episodes, as I said, Hannibal's having his big gay murder crisis of identity. He's like, oh fuck, I'm both genuinely a murderer and gay. I enjoyed sucking his dick and killing that guy. What does that make me? He's basically trying to answer the do you ache for him question. And Hannibal's kind of like giving him space. Like, you know, Will's spending long times walking through Cuba, being emo, being very, very much like Anakin from Star Wars, actually. So maybe Will comes back one day and Hannibal is in the house, as you are sometimes, and he's cooking. And he's basically taken the meat that he took from this guy. And he's like, okay, I'm gonna make a meal. Hey Will, do you wanna join? They both sit down to dinner together. And it's like the dinners that we've had in previous seasons. The sexual tension's just, like, it's so thick, you can just cut it with a knife. They've basically not talked about anything that's happened or the state of their relationship since that early morning staring into the sunrise Star Wars conversation. They haven't talked about it. Will hasn't talked about it. And yeah, Hannibal hasn't asked him about it. He's just given him space. Will kind of needs some time to like kind of like think about what his answer is and what he wants to say. So they're sitting down, they're having dinner, and it's going to look perfect and beautiful. It's going to be all fancy. And they're going to be eating, and kind of Will's going to put his knife and fork down. He's going to go, look, he's like, I can't be this perfect killer or this lover in the way that you want me to be. I can't do that. You need to give me time, and you need to work with me. He wants to go dark side in his own terms, in his own time. You know, I'm all for like dark Will, but my particular brand of Will is dark Will with a conscience. And Hannibal was like, yeah, that's okay, that's cool. Whatever you want to do, I'm happy with. Because, let's be honest here, Hannibal would give up anything for Will. I mean, he already has. And I genuinely do think Hannibal would just be like, yeah, that's fair enough, literally anything you want, I'll do for you. Which I'm not saying is healthy, but I think is the state of their relationship, to be perfectly honest. But Hannibal's just like, look, take time, it's fine, we'll do it at your speed. So from that point, and kind of with Hannibal being like, look, whatever level you sort of want, it's okay. I want there to be very slow. Like, slow little things that kind of all sort of start to culminate together. Like, maybe it's something like when Will's passing Hannibal the knife, he'll like have his hand for like a little bit longer than necessary, you know what I mean? Just a little bit longer. Or like Hannibal is sitting in a chair, and he's like reading a book, and as Will like crosses over the back of him, he like touches him on the back of the neck or something like that. You know, when they're sitting at a table together, their knees will be like ever so slightly touching. And like that's all it is for the moment. But it's like enough that it's just Will like easing into the waters, taking his time. So yeah, it's kind of gradually building. And they're like, oh, maybe this could work. And they're killing loads more people. Maybe someone says something homophobic and they kill them, because gay rights. The only people you should kill are homophobes. Clarissa's going to be in Cuba as they're in Cuba. She's going to be finding her way, asking around, and she's going to get to a point where she's going to stumble upon Will and Hannibal at a crime scene. Maybe they've just killed someone. They've got the body there. She recognises the two of them. She kind of hangs in the shadows. She doesn't say anything. Maybe Will goes off. Maybe he's going off to clean a knife, I don't know. Basically, Hannibal's alone with the body and Clarissa's watching him. Hannibal kind of does a sniff, as he does in his weird way, that's also kind of arousing, but we won't talk about that. And he's like, look, if you're going to be watching someone murdering someone, it's probably not a good idea to be close enough that they can smell you. And he kind of turns around towards Clarissa, and Clarissa kind of steps out of the shadows. And she's kind of like, hi. She's like, I'm not here to kill you. I know who you are. I just want to know about one of your ex-patients, Buffalo Bill. And Hannibal's kind of like, okay, this girl's got balls. Alright, fine. I'll give you some information if you can prove yourself. Kind of like he does in the films. He basically gives her enough of a clue that she realises that, like in the film, the murderer knew his first victim. That whole idea of coveting something that you see every day. Ooh, it's almost as if it links to Hannibal and Will. Isn't that interesting? She gets enough of an idea that she's like, okay, I see, okay, cool. Will casually walks back in, it's kind of like, well, what the fuck is going on? Will panics, she runs away. Will's like, what's going on? Hannibal's like, I've just told this girl and I didn't kill her. Sorry, she was kind of cool. She was alright. I kind of liked her. She wasn't really bothered by us. Will's like, you're an idiot. She's gonna tell them she's found us. We need to leave right now. They'll be looking out for people leaving Cuba who are in pairs. We gotta separate. We gotta go different ways. Hannibal's like, yeah, no, okay, fine, you're kind of right. So they're gonna be at the airport. They're just not gonna know when they're gonna see each other again. Hannibal's gonna go off somewhere, like Will's gonna go off somewhere. They're gonna go different countries, different ways. And then they'll eventually meet back, but they don't know when they're gonna meet back. They've got to figure all this stuff out. And like, it's tough because Will's been taking it slow and he hasn't done anything since that first date. Like that one time they did stuff, he hasn't done anything. And Will's kind of like freaking out. Hannibal's like, it's fine, we'll see each other again. And Will's like, but what if we don't? What if something happens? What if we die? Hannibal's like, it's fine, don't worry, it'll be okay. Do not worry, we'll find each other again. They're just at the airport. This kind of bullshit call you by your name where you're both wanting to say stuff but you can't because you're in a public place. But this is not 80s homophobic Italy, and they're gonna have them kiss. It's gonna be the first, like, meaningful, actually decided kiss that happens. Will's gonna be like, fuck it, and just kiss him. And Hannibal's gonna be like, oh, is this what love feels like? Now I have to come back, don't I? Clarice calls up Jack. She's like, hey Jack. She's like, so I found them and they escaped. Whoops. Jack's like, fuck it. This is the last play. We're heading to the end of the season now, okay? Like, big drama. He's like, what I am gonna do, because I don't give a shit anymore. I've got like one last chance to find this dude. Because Will and Hannibal together, you're not gonna find them because Will's just too careful and Hannibal's too experienced. It's just not gonna happen. Jack's like, right, this might be the only chance. They might have got spooked, they might have separated. What I am gonna do is I'm going to get Bedelia, who, if you remember, if you've seen the extended ending of season 3, you know that Hannibal and Will have cut off her legs. Oh yeah, I mean, obviously that would have had to have happened at the beginning of the season. Hannibal and Will have cut off her leg. In my eyes, I read that as a promise of like, we're gonna come get you. Not now, we're gonna make you wait, and that's gonna be worse. But one day we're gonna come and we're gonna eat you. So Jack's gonna abduct Bedelia and kind of be like, hey, if Bedelia's been abducted, Hannibal's gonna be like, hang on, I'm meant to be eating her. You can't do that. But Hannibal on his own, whose one weakness is his huge pride, is gonna be like, fuck, I gotta go back to America. I can't let Jack do this. He's gonna kill her without me. I'm gonna be the one killer. I promised to kill her. Will, who's gonna be like fucking off in the UK somewhere or something like that, is gonna be reading news reports and being like, well, Hannibal's gonna see this. He's definitely gonna wanna get there. And now I've got to go back to America and find him so that he can't just walk into the trap. It's like an inverse trap, because instead of going to save a person, you're going to kill a person first. I don't know how Bedelia feels about this whole thing. I think she's probably drinking and being like, these fucking idiots. The penultimate scene. So Clarice is gonna be going to figure out who the murderer is. Her like finding the house, her going into the basement of the house, all of that freaky stuff. At the same time, Margot and Alana, because they're rich, classy lesbians, have made essentially a house that's booby-trapped specifically for Hannibal. We're talking like Murder House here. Jack's like, well, I know where Margot and Alana is, and they're gonna have a pretty bomb-ass house, so I'm gonna take Bedelia there. And we're gonna basically use this as one big giant trap for Hannibal. So you're gonna have like 2 dramatic scenes happening at the same time, and at the same time as this, you're gonna have the police all converging towards Margot and Bedelia's house. So all the police, like in Silence of the Lambs, instead of helping out Clarice, are going to be completely distracted with something else. So Clarice is on her own. We get a penultimate scene where basically every single person is kind of converging on this one house. Hannibal's going to the house. Will's also trying to get into the house. So both of them are trying to get into the house at the same time, facing different traps. But essentially, there's going to be one final meeting between all of these people once they found their way to the centre of the house. We're going to have Will finally see Alana again for the first time in like a year. We're going to have Jack be like, you two were fucking the entire time. And Will being like, well, actually we weren't. But now we are, so fuck you, Jack. I want to fight out, and I want Will and Hannibal, they're finally working together, everything's come together, they want to be in a relationship with each other, they finally figured out they're hunting together. They're definitely gonna kill Bedelia, because they're like, fuck it, we're not gonna let anyone else kill her for this. And it's like this perfect euphoric moment. The first kind of hunt scene, they kind of like been working things out, figuring things out, but nothing's been quite aligned yet because they just haven't consummated their relationship yet. That sounds weird, but it's just like they haven't fully clicked with each other yet, you know? Whereas this is like, okay, this is it. They finally got this sorted now. So they can kill however many or however few people you want them to kill. I'm happy to leave that to interpretation. But I want the season to end with Hannibal and Will having killed all of these people, left a bloodbath. They know they can't escape because all of the police are converging on this place. Maybe love crime plays again, and before it's all taken away, they have this one final perfect moment together before they get captured or killed, depends on how many other seasons we want to write. The climax of their storyline is they finally figured out working together. Everything's come together. Clarice, meanwhile, is doing all of her stuff. She's in the basement, and it be timed in a certain way that like in the film, the police kind of sort out all of that stuff and then go all the way to the house where Clarice is and help her out. And she can save her girlfriend. I mean, totally platonic. She can save her girlfriend. Clarice goes to see Hannibal and Will in prison. And yeah, and just her, like, have that final scene. It's kind of like a contrast to Silence of the Lambs, because she's standing there and looking at Hannibal, but Will's also in the cage next to him and they're both looking at her. And it's like, oh, what's gonna happen next? You'll never know, because I haven't written the next season yet. So yes, that was my climax of my season 4. I'd like to think that's what happens. I love Clarice, so I want her to be in it. I want Will and Hannibal to be together, but I love angst. So yeah, congratulations if you've made it thus far. Please let me know down in the comments below what you think, what your additions would be, what your version of season 4 is. Also, please give this video a like, because it really helps me out. Hope you have a wonderful day. I'll see you soon. Bye!